Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Select Board meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. The time is 6:00 p.m., and I will now call the meeting to order. Tonight, we are meeting in the 1820 courtroom. We've had some technical difficulties in the Great Hall, so we're trying to organize ourselves and get ourselves all set up so that we can bring this meeting to you uninterrupted. So thank you for your patience and for bearing with us. Per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the Select Board after notifying the chair, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair so as not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any recordings. I'm aware of the local scene recording. Is there anyone else in the room who's recording? Okay, no. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means and in person. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. Tune into the local scene government access channels, Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 47, and you can watch the meeting as it is aired live or watch the meeting live on the local scene website or their YouTube channel. Members of the public who wish to participate in the meeting may do so in the following manner. In person, tonight we're in the 1820 courtroom, Plymouth Town Hall, second floor, 26 Court Street, Plymouth, Massachusetts. You can join us remotely by clicking the Zoom link that you will find in our agenda. Please join the board in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first order of business is administrative notes, and I know I would like to pull number 9 just to say a few words about it separately. Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I pull number 8?
Sure, that would be great. So we have, can I have a motion for administrative notes 1 through 7? What is the pleasure of the board?
Move them as listed.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Discussion? Yep, Mr. Cohan.
There we go. How's that? Just you know, as I go through the administrative notes, I see all the work that's being done by different people on staff about seeking grants for different road improvements, different opportunities the town is looking to help share the cost. So it would be nice maybe if these administrative notes, when a grant is being filed, that we know what department is filing it so we can, you know, thank them for it. It just says that the town is applying for the grant, but it would be nice to know what department is filing this grant. Just a thought I had.
Yep, we'll note that. Okay, any more discussion? Mr. Quintel.
Thank you. I don't know, Derek or Kevin, didn't we get a grant, money appropriated at town meeting for Cherry Street and Court Street?
At this most recent town meeting? Or at a prior?
In a prior town meeting, I believe it was in 2020, I think I was told by the engineering department, there is still money remaining in that article, $2.5 million for the Cherry Street and Court Street intersection. Given the fact that it was a number of years ago, the engineering division within the DPW, as listed in the memo, have some concerns that there may be some cost overruns, so they applied for a $1 million grant to help subsidize this project. You know, if the project stays in the $2.5 million and we get the grant award, we'll be able to return back the balance of those dollars to our taxpayers.
Okay, thank you. I thought there was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take the vote now. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Quintel?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So administrative notes 1 through 7 have been approved. Mr. Golden, if it's okay with you, I'm going to just speak quickly to 9, and then you can take it away with the proclamation. So I just wanted to call attention to the note number 9. The board will be voting tonight to approve an economic development strategy that we worked on in a series of 2 workshops, and we finalized the strategy on July 22nd. This strategy includes very actionable steps that we are very hopeful will really move the needle on economic development for the town of Plymouth. You'll be hearing and seeing a lot more of this. We'll be having joint meetings with the Planning Board and with the Plymouth Economic Development Foundation and talking a lot about this. So I just wanted to thank the board for the hard work and for staff for facilitating the discussions in the workshop. I think we've got a really solid piece of work here, and I'm excited about it. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It turns out that I'm the Centennial Proclamation guy on the board at this point, because item number 8 tonight is the board will vote to proclaim Saturday, August 1st, 2026, as Camp Clark Centennial Appreciation Day in the town of Plymouth. For folks who don't know, the YMCA operates a full-day day camp at Camp Clark off of Hedges Pond Road. We are joined by Christina Wilson, who we'll welcome up in a minute as well to receive the proclamation. I have a special presentation partner here tonight, though. I hope that a young Miss Emma Golden can come up and join me tonight. Emma is a camper at the YMCA, so she's got a message for Camp Clark after I finish reading the proclamation. So whereas summer day camps provide vital opportunities to youth, such as Emma, to build confidence, develop lifelong leadership skills, create enduring friendships, and connect deeply with the natural environment. And whereas Camp Clark was established in the town of Plymouth in 1926, expanding over the last century to encompass 83 scenic acres along Hedges Pond Road, and whereas for 100 consecutive years, Camp Clark has served as a cornerstone of South Shore youth recreation, welcoming generations of campers and counselors and volunteers from Plymouth and surrounding communities. And whereas under the stewardship of the Old Colony YMCA, Camp Clark continues to enrich the lives of young people through traditional camp activities, including swimming, boating, archery, a challenge ropes course, and arts education. And whereas Camp Clark remains dedicated to fostering character development by instilling its core values and promoting community inclusively across the region. And whereas on August 1st, 2026, the community will gather at Hedges Pond to celebrate this historic centennial milestone, honoring 100 seasons of summer memories. Therefore, we, the Select Board of the Town of Plymouth, do hereby officially proclaim August 1st, 2026 as Camp Clark Centennial Appreciation Day in the town of Plymouth and call upon all residents to join in celebrating this historic 100th anniversary milestone.
Congratulations, Camp Clark.
Christina, I don't know if you want to come to the podium and say a few words, or if there's anyone from your board as well.
I would just like to say thank you to the Select Board for recognizing this milestone. It is a true community partnership, not only with us and Plymouth Public Schools and the whole town. We serve right now, currently, even this week, we have between 300 to 400 kids a week that we see at camp. And we make sure that, as part of the mission of the YMCA, that nobody is turned away due to their inability to pay. So we've got lots of kids that are coming to us for a safe place to have breakfast and lunch that we serve, and to just be a kid and get away from a screen. I invite the whole community and hope that everybody can join us on Saturday as we celebrate. It is free and open to the community, and they can just call the YMCA and reach out for more information. And 10 to 2, Camp Clark, and thank you so much.
Well, congratulations. If you don't mind coming up, Christina, we're going to present you with the proclamation. If there's anyone in the audience who is a Camp Clark connected person, whether you're on the board or you're a former Camp Clark camper, a current Camp Clark camper, please join us for a picture with the board.
We have a lot of issues here behind behind the curtain. What can just... Thank you, and a very special thank you to Emma Golden for her supporting role in this. That was beautiful. Okay, so now I need a motion to approve notes 8 and 9.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, we have a second, Mr. Quintal. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay. Notes 8 and 9 are approved. We are now moving on to the public comment portion of our agenda. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on public comment? Ladies first? Okay, that's the gentlemanly thing to do. Come on up, Michelle. And Michelle, as you know, we have 3 minutes, and Kenzie is going to be keeping time on her phone, and you'll hear a little sound when your 3 minutes is up.
Is it on? Okay. Good evening. Thank you, everyone. Michelle Christensen, 252 Valley Road. This evening, I'm here to speak about my favorite topic, water. And I wanted to put a plug out and an awareness to all of our residents, in particular the residents in precincts 1 and 2, as well as the North Plymouth Steering Village, that group there. So over the last year and a half, the town, together with the town engineers, Doug Pinard and Kendra Martin, and their engineers, consultants from Weston and Sampson, as well as with the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Community Advisory Committee, have been working hard for the town to come forward with the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. As part of that plan, one of the steps is informational meetings with the community to get their feedback, to present the plan to them as we're moving forward, and to understand what their priorities are. So on Thursday, August 6th, we will have the first of the 5 meetings, and the first meeting is specifically to target the needs and requirements of the North Plymouth section of our town. The other 4 meetings will follow shortly after. But the first one will be held on Thursday, August 6th at 6:30 till about 8 o'clock or so. We'll be there to answer all your questions. And we're going to be focusing on the quality of your water, as well as your wastewater management requirements. We're going to be answering a lot of questions about what does it mean for the town, how will we be growing our wastewater treatment areas, as well as what's happening with those areas of town that are on septic fields, that kind of thing. So, but you're already on the wastewater system in the north, so we're going to target your needs and hear your feedback. And having watched the On the Road Select Board and listening to all the water questions that were raised, I thought this is a perfect time to address some of those. So you'll be seeing flyers like this around town, and I wanted to put a plug out so that all the residents were aware of it. And then if you're interested, the meeting or the information session that will be following a week later on Wednesday, August 12th at 6 o'clock, at the Plymouth Community Intermediate School will be for the Cedarville precincts 8, 9, 12, 16, and 18, as well as the Cedarville Steering Village. So that area there, that's a week later that their meeting will run. Similar baseline sessions, but then we'll focus on questions and needs and feedback pertaining to your areas and your challenges. So again, thank you everyone, and I do have some of these flyers, maybe for Everett to hand around in his area because he's on the steering committee. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Okay, would you like to speak?
Good evening. I come to you with disappointment. The residents of Shallow Pond have been asking to have our roads accepted due to the long history of municipal oversights, a failure to complete past road acceptance work, and a 36-year history of town administrators being indifferent and dismissive of our concerns. In the latest round of this tortured history, the residents of Shallow Pond put in a petition for road acceptance in September of 2025, filed under Chapter 82. Our petition was not put on the agenda when asked in the fall of 2025. We then had a meeting in January where the claim was the town staff was too busy to engage with us prior to the spring meeting. We met in April with you all, and it was stated that you wanted to hear from the town DPW director and set a date 11 weeks ahead to June 30th. On the June 30th meeting, the director did not even show up for the meeting, and thus the meeting to hear from him was pushed to July 14th. At that meeting, the DPW director briefed the new town acceptance policy. With 9 minutes of his presentation, spoke to Shallow Pond, and stating by heavy implication the DPW director's opposition to our petition. He did not come prepared to actually discuss Shallow Pond, and his cost estimates were the back-of-the-hand napkin guesstimates with no analysis provided on how he reached a cost figure of $500,000. So much so that he was asked to come back on August 4th to provide a real analysis. Recently, the residents of Shallow Pond asked to meet with the DPW engineer and director to review the cost and provide our analysis and work towards a solution to the intolerable situation the town has created, making Shallow Pond roads de facto public ways for 3 other subdivisions, all the while insisting that the residents of Shallow Pond be financially responsible to maintain these ways. The town manager has flatly refused to have the DPW meet with us, so I have an ask. We will be sending the board a package of information on our analysis. The fact is, the analysis indicates the town can get these roads accepted for less than $30,000, as low as probably $5,500. By using limited outside consultants and using town employees whose salaries we already pay. I would like to now to give you 3 pages from the packet that will outline the steps of road acceptance with estimated costs, reiterates in detail what we are asking, and provides a crosswalk with our situation with the KP Law primer on road acceptance for municipalities. We, the residents, no longer believe the town administration is acting as a collaborative partner. We are asking you to intervene and direct the staff to work with us prior to the August 4th meeting to find a realistic and fair solution based on the 6-step Chapter 82 process the town has used for years to accept the public ways. Who should I give this to? There's a copy, a hard copy, one for each of you. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else here who would like to speak in public comment? Okay, let's move on to our agenda proper. The first item on our agenda is an unusual proposal that we have on a proposal to better utilize Stevens Field year-round. And it comes to us from Emma Dries, who is a rising freshman at Plymouth North. Emma, would you come up and take the podium, please? Emma sent us her proposal a couple of months back when this is based on a passion project that she did as an 8th grade student. And we were so impressed by the detail in her research and how comprehensive her proposal was and how well thought out it was, that we wanted to invite her in here so that she would have an opportunity to share it with all of us. Emma, take it away.
Thank you so much.
Can you turn your microphone on?
Thank you so much. Is this better?
There you go.
Hi. Stevens Field is a park, and it's something that we should look at. Next slide, please.
Emma, can you speak just a little bit louder?
Is this good?
That's perfect.
All right. Okay. Lighting Stevens Field in the off-season. Next slide. Just a heads up for a bit about me is that I've lived in Plymouth since I was 7, and playing sports is very important to me and my peers. And Stevens Field is one of the places that we're able to practice, and we're able to use courts. And I've had experience where I'm in winter and I'm trying to play sports, and the visibility there is very dark and I cannot see. For the first part of my project was I interviewed community members that to see local issues, and with our survey results, we were all able to choose our own common community issues. And this is something I cared so passionately about that I decided to choose. So because I'm an avid park goer, I decided to add lights, and I reached out to other towns surrounding Plymouth in the Plymouth County to understand how their outdoor resources work. I looked at information and data from other resources outside of the U.S. in comparison, and I searched on about seasonal affective disorder to better understand aspects of my idea. And I have some things up there, but they're not loading, so. For my root cause analysis, I was looking at SAD, and which showed that exercise throughout winter can help a person's mental and emotional health a lot more than most realize. And I did that, and then I emailed the forestry department to ask questions surrounding the parks, and the email is there, but it's not loading. But I conducted research that shows root causes instead of temporary solutions. Here's where I started planning what I was going to do. With my teacher's help, I was able to survey 184 peers, which was sent back information saying 83% of people would use parks during the weekend if it was lit from 8 to 4. 65% of people said they have used the parks in past, and 90% of respondents shared they don't use public transit, which means that they can, with the use of GATRA buses or other public transit, we can bring them here and use the park. Here I shared a proposal with town officials. At this moment I said I was waiting, but I finally heard back, and I was invited here, and it's been a great experience. I continued, I was talking to the steering committee in my precinct if I didn't hear back, but I did, thankfully. When I was reading a response from you guys, the Parks and Forestry told me that due to the field's management during harsh winter climate, it would be unwise to add lights to the fields part of the areas. But I decided, they never said anything about the courts, they haven't said anything about the playgrounds, nor have they said anything about walkways. So even if they can't use the fields, we're still able to improve a lot of people's day-to-day exercise use and the park's use if we ensure there's lights there. Reflection, throughout this project, this has helped me a lot, and if more people were able to do this, this would be great, because advocating for what we need in the town is amazing, and you're able to fight for something you truly care about. What I hope for this project to come out to is, at a minimum, I'd want the already added lights around walkways to be turned on, because there's lights, but they aren't used during winter. And even if it's 4 to 8 on weekends or even just Fridays, that would help out so many people, and we could use it as a trial run, even at the worst case, and see what people's response is. What I would like for this to happen is in addition to add lights near the courts, the playgrounds, and the walkways already have some, and turn them 4 to 6 on weekdays and 4 to 8 on weekends, which will still help people. And next slide. And ways we can do that, which would save money, is installing solar panels instead of just paying for energy outright, would allow for over time annual energy bills to go down, We could work with local communities, schools, or groups to help build and work on the lights. We could get sponsorship from Home Depot or Lowe's, which would allow us to get like solar panels or energy like lights cheaper, and for them to have support their thing. Or we could raise money through fundraising or tournaments using the courts at Stevens Field that are already there. I plan to attend the fiscal annual budgeting during fall. With your guys' support, more awareness to my project means more work will get done, and I can also go to the local steering committee next. Is there any questions from you guys? Yes, Mr. Golden.
Thank you so much, Emma. I'm going to bring it back to the board for questions now. Mr. Golden?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here today, Emma. You should be proud of yourself for standing up in front of your community and advocating for something that is important to you. Is your family here tonight?
My mom, my dad, my teacher, and my friend is here, and I have some friends watching.
Mom and Dad, you should be really proud. It takes a lot of guts to stand up and tell the executive body of your town to do anything, particularly when you're a high schooler. And Mrs. Coleman, is that right? You should absolutely give Emma some extra credit for being here tonight. Excellent, very good. Emma, I don't know if you saw our meeting a few weeks ago. We discussed the future of the some of the spaces that we have for recreation around town. Madam Chair, I would suggest if we could, I think I saw the rec director here earlier.
Yeah, we have,
Is she here?
yep, Ann is here, and Nick is also here, too.
Excellent. Could we connect Emma up to these folks as we decide on some of the next phases of recreation, what spaces and what it looks like in town, and maybe Emma could serve as our unofficial advisor on these things?
That sounds like a great idea. I was actually going to invite Nick and/or Ann up after we finished questioning Emma to see if you had any comments. But I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you don't mind.
Well, if you'd be interested, Emma, I think as we decide, things like Forges Field, the future of use at Stevens Field and other recreational places around town, Manomet recreation area, things like that. I'm sure these folks would love to hear from someone who actually uses it rather than those of us who simply pontificate about their uses.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great idea. And you had a question as well.
Yeah, yes. Oh, here we go. Yes, Emma, thank you very much. Again, getting up at the podium, as Mr. Golden has indicated, it takes a lot of courage, and I congratulate you on your research and your effort and your presentation. So I've been through I put people through a number of PowerPoints, and that was very enjoyable. So the one thing I would like to emphasize, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
I
people
can
hear me?
hear you.
Is that better? Higher? Okay. So the one thing I would emphasize is that Stevens Field being a unique park, along with Nelson Park, two parks that kind of they're like bookends to our waterfront. People walk from one end of town to the other, and they go through Stevens Field, and it's a big walking route, Union Street, Stevens Field, because I would suggest that in your avocation, which I'm very supportive of, is that we continue to reach out to the Precinct 3, is town meeting members in that neighborhood. The chairman there is Dale Weber. He'd be more than happy to have you sit before that group to get a neighborhood input. They represent the neighborhood at town meeting. I'm glad you're reaching out to the steering committee. That's another committee that you want to reach out to gain insight and support to this initiative, because I'm very supportive of looking at our parks and seeing how we can maximize their use in this part of the country. It gets dark pretty early in the winter, and we want to utilize the site more effectively. There's a lot of new improvements down Stevens Field that those lights would be beneficial. You're looking at a time frame from 4 to 8, which is manageable. Obviously, it's in some ways, I always call Stevens Field kind of a large pocket park in downtown Plymouth. It's a big park, but it's surrounded by residential homes, and we want to be appreciative of the residents who are there abutting the property. So I do like that idea. And finally, when you connect with staff, and I'd be happy to work with staff on this, the lighting that we do have at Stevens Field, they could be augmented by solar panels. I was seeing in a number of parks that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts runs at Nantasket Beach, they keep the lights on there into the evening, and you'll see their light poles are all solar-powered light poles. So that's something that we should be looking at, because obviously we want to control the cost to the residents and look at alternative energies to run these lights in these parks. But again, Emma, I commend you on your presentation. It was very enjoyable to sit through the presentation and your advocacy for Stevens Field in terms of the lighting, and I look forward to doing what I can to help you with that.
Thank
but
you.
my top two things are connecting with Dale Weber with Precinct 3. They meet once a month at Lincoln Street over at the old, at the school administrative building. And also connecting with the chairman of the steering committee for downtown.
Of course.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
Mr. Canty.
Thank you. So I first want to say I really appreciate your presentation. I also liked that even though your slideshow had some technical issues where some of your pictures weren't presenting, that you just rolled with it. Not a lot of people of any age can just do that, and you composed yourself very well and should be commended. If it's any edification, we do have your presentation in hard paper form, and it is posted on the website so people can see all the slides that didn't quite render completely on there, but you did a great job with that. I think that connecting with the rec director and the parks folks would be a great next step. And I would encourage you, if you want to meet with Precinct 3 or the steering committees, that might be a nice bonus. But another step that you could take is I think it'd probably be two, although technically you do still have time, you could put together a citizens petition to bring this before a town meeting. There's a town meeting in Plymouth twice a year, and you could get signatures and have an opportunity to be heard by the entire legislative body of the community, not just Precinct 3 or the individual state, because Stevens Field is a community asset, not just a local asset. And obviously, you seem to have a passion for this area, and you've already gone this far, so why not see it through the process? I think that it would be very encouraging to see that. I would say that during the pandemic, which was kind of a hazy time for all of us, there was a younger individual who was passionate about an issue related to animal welfare in the community that brought forward a citizens petition that was successful. So there is a track record for that model bearing fruit. And I would encourage you, if you are interested in this, in connecting with those specific staff members and bringing that initiative forward. But thank you very much for your time and for putting yourself out there.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Quintal, any question? No? Okay. Okay, any more questions for Emma? Mr. Biella, do you want to comment on what you've been hearing here?
I'm the Parks and Forestry Superintendent. I just wanted to say thank you, and that was a very impressive presentation. I read the whole thing in the packet, very detailed. I wish I had your skills when it comes up to presenting. I wish I could have you present for me at town meeting when I have certain articles. But moving forward, and Slesser, the rec director, and I would love to hear you out and work with you on future projects. I think you're going to do a lot of great things, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. You had another question?
Yeah, I'd like to have the audience give Emma a round of applause for her encouragement.
Thank you very much, Emma. Okay, that's going to be a tough act to follow, but we do have an act here, that following act, which is our dangerous dog hearing. We have Stacy Klein.
So I need to recuse myself from this agenda item, so I'm going to remove myself from the dais and sit over in the jury box, and I will return for the next item.
Okay, thank you.
I myself also.
You need to recuse yourself as well. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Select Board. My name is Stacy Verdi, and I am one of the attorneys for the town. I'm here to ask that the Select Board affirm the decision from the dog hearing officer Chris Badeau, that was written and dated June 3rd, 2026. It is regarding the dog owned by Rosemary Quintal. Massachusetts law allows for the Select Board to have the authority to conduct a dangerous dog hearing. In 1989, this Select Board for the town of Plymouth delegated some of that authority to actually conduct the hearing to a hearing officer, but retained the authority to actually take the action that is the recommendations following the hearing. In 2022, the Select Board appointed Christopher Badeau to be the hearing officer. This tonight is not meant to be a hearing. We already conducted the hearing, which occurred on April 29th, 2026. Ms. Quintal received notice of the hearing. She was given the opportunity to appear. At one point, she wanted to appear by Zoom, but did not cooperate in providing the necessary information and did not participate in the hearing. However, evidence was presented, testimony was given regarding the history of this dog. And there is a long history with this dog. On May 12th, 2025, the dog attacked another dog and broke his leash. On June 21st, 2025, this dog bit a person, and animal control verified that the dog was not licensed nor vaccinated, and the dog was quarantined. On June 23rd, 2025, the dog bit a police officer. On July 26, 2025, it was reported the dog bit another person on July 22nd, 2025. On March 21st, 2026, there was a report of another dog bite. On March 22nd, 2026, the dog was again quarantined. On April 2nd, 2026, there was a report regarding the address where the dog was housed. And when the police appeared at the house, Ms. Quintal used the dog to interfere with the police doing their job. And there is currently a criminal case pending against Ms. Quintal for using the dog as a dangerous weapon. All of that was prior to the dangerous dog hearing on April 29th, 2026. Following the decision from the hearing officer on June 3rd, 2026, that decision was given to Ms. Quintal, and under the law, she had 10 days to appeal. She did not appeal. Since the decision was issued, the dog remains unlicensed and not vaccinated. It was not secured to the property, and on July 15th, 2026, the dog bit a neighbor that was on his own property. On July 16th, 2026, the dog again attempted to attack that same neighbor. Following those incidents, the town tried to work with Ms. Quintal to get the dog into custody, to be quarantined, and to protect the public safety. Ms. Quintal refused to cooperate. As a result, the town went into court on July 20th and obtained a warrant for the town to go in and actually get custody of the dog. On July 22nd, 2026, through the cooperation of Plymouth Animal Control, Plymouth Police, and New Bedford Animal Control, the town was able to gain custody of this dog. The dog remains in custody with animal control in the town of Plymouth. Since taking custody, the dog has continued to be aggressive, lunging at workers, growling, barking. One description I received was he's tiger-like, that aggressive. He has been cared for, fed, he's in a pen, he has outside time. Regardless of that care, the dog remains aggressive. So we ask that the decision, which is part of the packet, dated June 3rd, 2026, be confirmed by the Select Board.
Can you just very briefly highlight the decision, the key items in the decision, just for the record?
Yes. So the decision, again, gives Ms. Quintal an opportunity to comply with the law by getting the dog licensed, getting the dog vaccinated, keeping the dog within her property where she resides, being constrained. If the dog is to leave the property, the dog was to be muzzled. None of that happened. And so that's where we're at.
So just to be clear about what you're asking us to approve, are you asking us to approve the June 3rd memo listing the findings of the hearing officer that she did not comply with?
Correct.
So we're ratifying something that she didn't comply with.
So, well, the decision allows for all of those conditions that I just reiterated. Is if those are not complied with within 30 days, which would have been July 3rd, and that was not done, then the only alternative is, unfortunately, to euthanize the dog.
So you're asking us to approve the consequence of her not
Yes,
complying,
it's the entire
which
decision.
is that the dog be humanely euthanized.
Yes.
So that's the decision that we're to make tonight. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear on what we were voting on. Questions from the board? Mr. Cohan.
So there was a hearing. We have the results of that hearing. You gave us a synopsis of that hearing. Obviously, we don't participate in the hearing anymore as of 1989. And in 2022, we have a process set up for those hearings. And we're now asked to approve the decision to put the dog down. Is there any other alternatives to the dog's existence? Obviously, the dog has, I don't know how the dog got in this condition that it's in, and you're explaining things. That what I do know about what has been presented to me in material about the owner of the dog was obviously doing things that were not managing the dog correctly. I think that's universally understood. So the person who owned the dog was not, didn't have a license, didn't have its shots, wasn't containing the dog, wasn't putting the muzzle on it when it walked, and when the police arrived, acted out with the dog. So this is the only alternative. The dog can't be taken away and put somewhere, or it can be no harm to someone. I don't.
Well, considering
Right.
how the dog has acted since being in the town's custody,
Yeah.
that is demonstrative that the dog is
Yeah.
aggressive.
Correct.
And the law does not really provide for an alternative.
Okay.
Because it would be placing the dog with another family. I mean, and the risk to that, the law basically says that a dog once deemed dangerous,
Yep.
which is exactly what happened
I know.
as a result.
I understand. I just, looking at this material, seeing how the owner conducted themselves, the dog has been in the possession of the town now since July 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and it's being kept in a circumstance, and if they had saw any improvement, would that have any effect on this decision?
It may. I can't really theoretically,
Right.
because there would be more than
Right.
just that one factor.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mr. Golden, your questions or no? She comes back. Stacy, do you mind coming back up to the podium? Sorry about that. We're not quite finished with you yet. Mr. Golden has a question, and then I have a couple of questions as well. Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry to bring you back up, Stacy, but just to be clear, if we don't affirm the recommendation of the hearing officer, would the dog be returned to the current owner?
Yes, because the law doesn't really provide. Theoretically, the town could go into court and get a judge to make that ruling, but for the public safety, the alternative to this is very risky.
And the current owner currently does not have the dog licensed. Has the dog ever been licensed?
Not that the town is aware of.
And the dog is not properly vaccinated.
Correct.
It's a health risk to other animals.
Yes.
And by my count, it attacked at least one other dog and at least 4 people, including one of our own police officers.
I believe there's been 2 police officers.
Okay. So at least 5 people, including 2 Plymouth police officers.
Yes.
And it seems like there was a specific targeting of the police officer in the incident that's included in our packet. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that's the criminal charge that's pending.
So it's been used as a weapon against our law enforcement officers. So this person isn't going to comply with the law. They're not going to comply with the orders that we've put on them based on the hearing. And in fact, they're not going to comply with law enforcement. They're going to use this animal to attack law enforcement. I'm totally disgusted by this situation. I have a pit in my stomach. I'm an animal lover. I grew up with dogs. I think they're the purest animals on the planet, but they are a reflection of the person that raises them. And if you raise them properly, they are unbelievable companions. When you raise them improperly, I mean, look, we've got an animal sitting right over here, and she's perfectly composed and calm and gentle. When you raise them improperly, they're a reflection of who you are. And I dread the decision that we have to make tonight, but I don't see an alternative.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really hard one. And it does come down to a public safety issue as well as a public health issue. If we have an unvaccinated dog that's going around biting people, I mean, that just compounds the problem even more so. And, you know, the next victim could be a child that could be really fatally injured by this dog. Through no fault of the dogs, you know, I think we all agree with that. But it also does seem like the owner of the dog has been given every opportunity to assume responsibility for the dog and to do the right thing by the dog. I don't know how we can make any other decision tonight, just for the sake of public safety and public health. We just can't put our residents at risk with an animal like this where the owner shows no interest in complying with what we're with complying with the you need to wait till you're recognized, okay, with complying with the the orders that we've been given, or the recommendations that we've been given. So, with that said, are there other questions, comments? Mr. Cohen.
So I'm looking at this policy from 1989, where a hearing is taking place, a decision is made, and then they come to us to kind of implement that decision. And I don't get the hearing experience. I don't see all the evidence. I don't see all the activities associated with this event. I think that's a very interesting way it's set up. I think I'm uncomfortable making a decision like this tonight, based on the fact that I haven't been able to participate in this process the way that I would need to participate to feel comfortable making a decision. By the way, there's obviously, you've mentioned one option, asking a judge to refuse to give the animal back to the owner. I don't know whether other options there are in terms of, that's a question that requires some level of research. Is there any rescue organization? Is there any entity out there that's just one thing, and that is destroying the animal? I'm not comfortable making a decision like that, having not participated in the process fully. I see the disjointed nature of this, and I take this very seriously. Obviously, the public safety is a paramount issue. There's a dog that's very dangerous and has to be kept in a cage and muzzled in a rope, and restrained. But you've had it since the 22nd. It doesn't seem like there's been a lot of research on what other options there are.
I absolutely have done research regarding the other options.
Yes.
The law does not, state law, does not allow a dog, once it is deemed dangerous, which is exactly what happened as a result of the hearing, to be, one, removed from the town, can't go outside of Plymouth, and can't be placed with another family.
I'm not suggesting another family. I was just curious about the humane society and organizations out there and alternatives to something like this.
Not once the dog is deemed dangerous.
Okay.
Statute doesn't allow it.
And is there anyone here representing the dog, or does the dog have? Does anyone speak on behalf of?
Bill, I think we had.
No, I just had a question. Is that part of? Is that an opportunity for the person who owns the dog to speak? Are they here?
Mr.
You've mentioned that the lack of interest of the owner, but is there someone here?
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Golden.
The hearing has already taken place, so I don't think that it's appropriate for us to open the floor to start advocating or not advocating for the disposition of this animal. I understand Mr. Cohan's point, but we are charged with making a decision here tonight, and we have to account for the public safety in this matter. It's a heavy burden, but we have to have the courage to do what's right for the town. And you've mentioned a couple of other organizations that could take the dog. Is there some other person who could take? The dog has attacked other animals. The dog has attacked other people. What more evidence do you need? Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the hearing officer recommendation for the dangerous dog in question.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to we're not taking public comment at this point. We're going to entertain a motion for this decision. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation of the hearing officer regarding the dangerous dog in question.
Do I have a second? Can I make a second? I'll second the motion. Discussion? No, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Cohan? No. Mr. Golden?
Yes.
No.
And myself, yes. The motion carries. Unfortunately, it carries. Okay. Moving on in the agenda, I think I will welcome our colleagues back.
What did you just say?
Mr. Cohen, I said that you're a coward.
No, that's not what you said. What did you say? What you said? The full language of
Mr.
your
Cohen, I
description.
said that you're a coward. Madam Chair.
No, you used.
I yield the floor
you
back
used,
to you.
Yep. Well, you can yield back to the floor, but people need to know the language that you are using on this board.
Gentlemen, 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 we will have a respectful discussion here, and we will not be attacking each other. We're just going to continue on with our business. Thank you.
There's only one attack
No,
coming
there's-
from this board
Mr.
member who
Mr.
just
Cohen.
used the F word to describe myself.
Okay, moving on in the agenda. Next up is we have Patricia Meechan, our town treasurer and collector, is here to talk to us about a foreclosure of Long Duck Pond property. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Meechan, treasurer collector. Tonight we're here to have you vote on the disposition of a tax title property that was foreclosed on for unpaid property taxes. It is the treasurer's office practice to circulate the property around to the different departments within town to see if there is any reason that the town would want to keep it for municipal purposes. This property here, we did receive comments back that Energy and Environment were interested in retaining it, and Open Space supports Energy and Environment's interest. They also had some, had some pending interest on it, but they needed further time for review. However, with the new legislation, we have certain date restrictions and deadlines that we have to meet, so unfortunately we could not give them any additional time, but we did have a department that was interested in retaining the property. So tonight we just asked for the board to vote to decide whether we retain the property for municipal purposes in accordance with the new legislation. Should the town decide to retain the property, we would have to hire a licensed appraiser, and we would have to return the excess equity to the former owner, so anything in excess of what is owed to the town for back taxes and any post-judgment costs, and the difference of the appraisal would have to be returned to the former owner.
Do we have questions for Ms. Meechan? No? Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the request for the foreclosure of this parcel.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, discussion. Okay, I'll call the roll. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
And myself, yes, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. I know that you have the next agenda item as well. I've had a request for Mr. Quintal to speak prior to that.
Yes, after speaking with the resident and hearing her story this weekend, not to go into much to do here, unless the board so feels, I'd like to, there's been arrangements made to make the town whole by the close of tomorrow business. If the board has no objection, I'd like to do it's at the voluntary vacate, number 3, until tomorrow when town hall closes, to be compensated in full without going through the motion. The resident has also spoke to Pat Meechan and myself, and I verified this, what I was told and what she was told. She is also in the audience, but you know. I just feel that if we're going to be made whole tomorrow by 4:30, that's, you know, that's good enough for me, but I can't speak for the board, so.
Mr. Canty.
I have no problem with the thrust of that. I would suggest we just pull it and then, once we're made whole, vacate it at that point, just in case. But if we're going to be made whole, that's what we're looking for at the end of the day,
Exactly.
so.
Is that acceptable to you?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay, then I'm good with that.
We're all good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll pull it. We'll pull it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Quintal.
No, thank you.
Facilitating that. Okay, moving on to the Community Wildfire Prevention Plan public comment period. Mr. Neil Foley, Chief Foley, is here to lead us through this discussion. And Ariana Porter, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and thank you to the Select Board for allowing us the opportunity to talk about the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. This has been a topic of discussion for over a year with the fire department. Moving forward, the fire department has had a long history with wildfire within Plymouth. We have a long history of some historic wildfires within Plymouth. And a lot of my predecessors and folks in the fire department and DCR have done a lot over the years to continuously look at our planning and objectives and coming up with new ways to deal with problems as time moves on. In recent years, there's been a lot in the news regarding drought, increased wildfires. A couple of falls ago, we had a historic wildfire season within the state of Massachusetts. A lot of our folks were traveling across the state, assisting other fire departments with their wildfire problems. And that brought us to a lot of discussions with some community folks who were concerned with wildfire within their surrounding area. And with those discussions, we discovered that there is the Community Wildfire Protection Plan process that not only gives you a guidance to your planning in mitigating wildfire in the future, it also creates an opportunity for additional grant funding. It was mentioned earlier in the meeting today, all of this grant funding that is available and coming to the town. We want to continue that, and this plan is a step towards identifying what those issues are within the community and then some possible funding sources to help offset that cost as we move forward with the plan. Joining me tonight is the Director of Emergency Management, Christian Horvath, who has been instrumental in getting this plan moving forward, keeping us all corralled. We've got a lot of different state and local partnerships that have influenced this process, a lot of town departments, David Gould and his team, the planning division, and several others. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Ariana Porter, who is our lead project manager for this project with SWCA, who will bring you through excuse me, her presentation of the CWPP. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thanks for having me, Select Board. I'm really happy to be here tonight. My name is Ari Porter. I have a master's in fire ecology from Colorado State, and I live up in Gray, Maine, about 30 minutes north of Portland, and we're across the country on these types of issues. Next slide. So tonight I plan to go over what the Community Wildfire Protection Plan contains and how we went about the process, as well as where the document currently stands and how we collected data in the town. And then I'll review the website for the project and any next steps. Next slide, please. So what is a Community Wildfire Protection Plan? Next slide. So a plan like this is simply to reduce threats to life and property from wildfire. And these came out of the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, I believe in '03, which said that the plan must be collaborative. So we had several public touch points throughout the process, as well as all the stakeholders that Chief described. The plan must identify and prioritize hazardous fuels treatments, so areas on the landscape we can reduce dangerous fuel on the ground that might lead to more extreme wildfire in Plymouth, and methods to protect at-risk communities. The plan must also recommend ways to reduce the likelihood a structure catches fire. The plan does not mandate anything. It's simply a toolbox that people can pull tools out of to solve problems. It makes recommendations and it sets priorities for action. So if you were to have funding, you can go to the plan and look at what's the highest priority action, and therefore you have your road set out in front of you. So we've gone through that process for you. Next slide, please. Wildfire in New England is not hypothetical. It's a constant and increasing risk. I'm sure many of you all have experienced the smoke wafting our way from other places in the country with similar weather. Plymouth is within a fire-adapted ecosystem, and all of the buildings and people here are at some level of risk. Risk is also, as Chief alluded to or talked about, is increasing across the region with drought. Next slide, please. So what's at risk? Well, our homes and our neighborhoods are at risk. Critical infrastructure is at risk. Our forests, our watersheds are at risk, as well as the local economy. Next slide, please. So why should we go through this process? Well, it engages the community, excuse me, and it encourages residents, agencies, and stakeholders to all work together. It increases the understanding of wildfire risks and best practices for residents in a town like Plymouth. Some of the land, much of it, is privately owned, and so residents know how to protect their own homes from wildfire. That way, if it's neighbor-to-neighbor protection, there's quite a bit of protection in one area, all working together. It promotes healthy ecosystems and improves ecosystem resilience, so there might be some ways to reduce pests and invasive species, as well as decrease wildfire resilience. And most importantly, it opens the town up to funding opportunities. Right now, the Forest Service has grants available up to $10 million per project for people with plans like this in the last 10 years. That's a big pot of money that you all are going to be eligible for now with a plan like this. Next slide. Next slide. So the outline of the plan is this. There's an executive summary. Our hope is that you can read that summary and understand, if you need more information, where to find it. Chapter 1 starts with what the goal is and background on the town, and how we engage the public through the process. Chapter 2 really drills down, what is the fire environment in Plymouth? What is the wildland-urban interface? What are the hazards and risks here? What is the climate and weather, and how can first responders currently respond to wildfire? Chapter 3 drills down into the hazard and risk assessment, so you can see our desktop wildfire modeling approach, as well as our fieldwork data collection approach. Chapter 4 is really the most important part. Chapter 4 says, okay, now we understand the risks in Plymouth. What are we going to do about it? So from high, medium, to low priority, we list out recommendations. Chapter 5 is monitoring and evaluation. So with a plan like this, or with a fuels treatment on the ground, you can't just do this once and not pay attention to how it's going in the future, so it's adaptive management information. And then we have lots of appendices for folks who'd like to get into the details. Next slide, please. As Chief said, our core team members included the fire department, of course, the DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation, Wildlands Trust, the Sheriff's Office, and many other folks. We collaborated on areas of highest concern in the town, which is a map I'll show, I believe, on the next slide. Local data, so we collected quite a bit of local data specific to Plymouth, so this plan is tailored to Plymouth. Management recommendations and public outreach approaches. Next slide. A couple more slides until my maps. Okay, so the on-the-ground assessments. When you go and do desktop wildfire modeling, you have to go and look at what's actually happening on the ground to make sure what the computer is saying is actually happening on the ground. So we spent a few days driving around the entire town and looking at doing desktop modeling calibration. So what vegetation is on the ground that the computer says is there, is it actually there? And then also looking at things like ingress and egress. How narrow are the roads? Could a fire truck turn around here? What is evacuation like in a town like Plymouth? And I, living in Maine, got a really great understanding of what conditions are like here for first responders on the ground, and it was a great experience. Next slide. Okay, so the most important maps in the plan are online on the website, and I highly suggest people go to that website and explore them, because at a town scale, Plymouth is a big town, these maps can be a little bit hard to interpret. The map on the left is risk to structures. So if a structure were to be in that location, what is the wildfire risk there? You're seeing a lot of the state forest and some other areas at risk in the town that are probably very intuitive to you, but I encourage you to go look at these maps. And then you see wildfire risk on the left. Our areas of concern are on the right. So you can see how the areas of concern that the stakeholders called out as the highest priority areas for treatments and recommendations mirror that risk map. Next slide. Okay, so we have a website, which I believe, next slide, is one of the best aspects of the project. So this is a screen cap. It's a central location for all the information and updates, even after SWCA, as consultants, has stepped back from the project. There is a tab for homeowner resources, so a homeowner can go to this website and look through what they can do on their property and where to find information about wildfire and first, notifications for emergency response. And they can explore all those maps so they can zoom in on their neighborhood, understand what the risk is there. Next slide, I believe, is another cap. Yeah, so this is a screen capture of the homeowner and landowner resources page. You can see information about defensible space, home hardening, and there are several links there to websites at DCR or the town already. Next screen cap. So when the public goes online, they can see the mitigation strategies we recommended, and they get a summary of what's in the plan so they don't have to read through the whole document. Next slide. We also built a project tracker for the town, so now the town can look and track how are the recommendations in the plan being implemented. So my worst fear as a planner is that I make a plan and it sits on the shelf until the next update. I'm really hoping that this tool can be used by stakeholders implementing treatments, applying to grants for new equipment, those sorts of items. They can use this tool to show to the public how they've made progress on reducing wildfire risk over time. We've had several other clients use these, including Cape Ann, Massachusetts, to show and track progress over time. So that'll be also available on the website. Next slide. Okay, so our next steps is to finalize the plan, which I hope to do in the next couple of weeks. It's ready to be put in PDF form and sent to Chief. And then after SWCA has finished that process, it's up to the town to apply to grants, pursue funding, and implement recommendations from the plan. Next slide. Okay, that's all I have. That's my email here. Do you have anything to add, Chief? Don't want to put you on the spot, but.
No, I would just say that this process has been really eye-opening. Like I said earlier, even though we've taken a lot of steps over the years to make a lot of changes within Plymouth to make our community safer with wildfire, this process opened me up to a lot of other aspects and had me having conversations with people all over the country and some of the strategies that they have and what's worked for them. So it's really broadening the horizon as far as what the Plymouth Fire Department looks at when it comes to wildfire. I appreciate Ari and her team. They've been excellent to work with, and I really think that we have a good solid plan with some actual attainable goals that we can move forward with this. I mentioned earlier about the grant funding. The state reached out to us, and they were able to secure grant funding to reimburse the town for this whole study. So it's already providing some benefits. And there's already some discussions on some of the other actionable items and some potential funding that they might be able to help us out with that as well. So far, so good.
That's great. Chief Foley, the agenda item suggests that there's opportunity for public comment on this. Would you welcome public comment at this point, or how would you like to handle that?
We would. If there's any comments from the public, we'd love to hear it. And, if we can answer those questions, we will. And if not, we'll at least be able to take that feedback and be able to, finalize the plan with it.
Okay. Is there anyone in the room who'd like to speak? No? Is there anyone online? There's, Mr. Leyden.
Steve Leyden. I live down South Plymouth off of Bourne Road, and I was here for the wildfire. It was frightening. The fire came up my road, come up Spinnaker, and before I got to my road, Leewood, it took a left and went down further into the woods. But it sounded like a freight. I wasn't home. I was on my way home when I heard about it. My wife was there with my daughter, and she was watering the house down with a hose and the grounds around the home. But she said it was so scary because it sounded like a freight train coming through. So anything we can do, I know that like the undergrowth down in the forest and down in South Plymouth is very heavy, and I know they're doing burns, which really helps, but anything we can do to prevent wildfires, because they are scary, and it's been so dry, it's just going to spread and there'll be a lot of damage. So I applaud this study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyden. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? No? I'll take it back to the board now for questions. Mr. Canty and Mr. Quinton.
So myself and a couple other board members had an opportunity to attend a public forum that was held by a community group about alternative wildfire approaches. I think it was back in the fall. Part of that presentation that I found to be somewhat surprising, at least the way it was phrased, was that there was some thought that wildfires should be basically just allowed to occur and run their course, which, well, at a minimum, I think would be, let's say, very unpopular, but also potentially disastrous. But I'm obviously don't work in the fire industry or in forestry, so could yourself or our consultant, either or both, just give any thoughts that they have on that alternative theory of wildfire management?
So that theory of wildfire management may work in certain parts of the country. I think when you talk about the Northeast, particularly Plymouth, and how closely our structures are incorporated into that urban interface, that would be placing a lot of our structures at risk by coming up with that theory. That would not be something I would advocate for here.
Yeah.
I believe that through active management, through mechanical, sometimes with some actual fire on the ground and prescribed burns, and also ensuring we have road access into certain areas.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of strategies that I think in Plymouth are going to work best for us. Do you have anything to add on that?
Okay. And are there things that, so the municipality can do certain things. Are there things that like private residents can do different? Like I know in certain areas of the country there that are incredibly prone to wildfires, they have sprinkler systems that people install that can protect a home, not to irrigate a lawn, but protect a house. I don't know if we're at that level right now, but are there other things that a private property owner could do?
There's a lot of information within that website that'll point people towards those specific things that they can do with their property, and it's really about their own property maintenance. A lot of people don't see the leaves underneath their porch, but that's something that website will remind them. Like, get under there, clean that out, because if a spark does get into it, it's highly ignitable fuels, and now your house will be at risk. There's other strategies, making sure you're cleaning your gutters, making sure that your plantings are, of a certain type and a certain distance away from your home. A lot of different things that homeowners can do that is actually super impactful if a fire does come in their area. You can't prevent all the fires, but you can create a sensible space for your particular structure. It also gives us, a little bit more time and the ability to protect homes a little bit better if certain steps are taken by homeowners and private property owners.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, Mr. Quintel.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the climate, whether we're going through drought or we're getting rain. And I know you can plan, with the breaks and the burns, but if you get a good wind going, Chief, you're not stopping that. And I say that because years ago, I was under Chief Lamb. I don't know if you were on the here we go. Yeah, Art Lamb was the chief then, and we had a massive fire going through the Pine Hills. I think we lost 3 brush breakers there down at the old Station 7. They actually parked one outside, and as a kids, we all, going to school, we all venture down there, and it was really something. So I've seen that, and then I've sat in planning board hearings and over the years, and I hear, like when they were building the Pine Hills when they started, the roads were narrow, and the answer was, that's traffic calming. Well, traffic calming is good until there's an emergency, and then the traffic calming goes out the window. I mean, it's easy for me to say now and look back on it, but after listening to the presentation, I was saying, geez, I remember that comment, I remember this. So, and I remember the massive fire we had. There was no Pine Hills at that time development. it was all forests. And we have thousands of acres of that. And, you know, you get a fire going with the sparks and the wind, you know, you can have all the sprinklers you want on the inside, but it's not going to stop that, so.
And that's definitely one of the areas that was addressed within the CWPP, was talking about notification to you know, property owners, to residents, and also, you know, evacuation planning and different tools that we can use to assess what we need to do as far as coming up with a plan for a wildfire type of evacuation, or at least notification of our residents. And it's definitely one of the higher priority items that we're looking at to tackle as one of our first priorities. So there's already work being done on that currently.
Yeah, I remember, you know, even before teenager, when I was a kid with my grandfather, everybody, you know, had open fields, they all had gardens, and, you know, that was the big hype in the spring, let's burn the field. And there was at least several times when we'll just say our little fire got out of control. And it wasn't me lighting it, by the way. I was with adults, and it just went, you know, before you know it, here comes the brush breakers to Nix Rock Road. I mean, that just, you know, and it happened all the time, but, you know, that was small stuff. But I remember the big fire we had. Haven't forgot that yet. So I applaud you for trying to and getting the grant and trying to make it work. Thank you.
Mr. Cohen?
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for this process that you brought the community through over a period of time, kind of addressing this issue that is, obviously we can look up in the sky and see the results of what's going on in other parts of the country. We can watch what happened in Hawaii and California, and it always has a concern here in Plymouth, because the fire that Mr. Quintil speaks of, we were at PCIS and kids, and we were told to get on school buses and leave the school. So we were evacuated from that school when that fire was making its way over the Pine Hills and towards the nuclear plant. So we have to pay attention to these things. I had a chance to attend the same forum that Mr. Canty attended in hearing alternative approaches. But again, you have this resource, this forest, and it has this material, and we're living in close proximity of it. So it's a balance to approaching how best to look at ways of addressing the issue. One of the things I think about is during the permitting process, when I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals, we'd be permitting things down at White Horse Beach, and there were buildings very close to one another, and they would recommend, they would come in and say, you know, we're going to be very close, we're going to use this flame-resistant material on the side of our building, so if anything happened, you know, to the building next to us, we would be protected. I know a lot of talk about fire suppression systems for those buildings, but you know, the cost was heavy. But during the permitting process, when people come to town hall and they're going to pull a permit to build a house in a rural area, they should have some information there in inspectional services of alternative materials that might be suggested to use in these isolated parts of Plymouth. Did you ever think of you know, a fire-resistant siding material if you're going to live that close in this capacity? So it's just something to think about as you move to implement this plan. That might be a nice, you know, effort to reach out to inspectional services, so as people come through that process looking to do building in Plymouth, that they see this information and it might direct them. Right now it would be voluntarily. We're not ordering anybody to do it, but it would be nice to let them know that this plan has been created. You're building in this area, and you might think about looking at these materials.
To your point, during the special permit process with the planning board, we do actually provide that Firewise information. Any of those permits that come across through that process, we provide the Firewise information that gives the guidance on the setbacks on certain types of, you know, shrubberies, maintenance of your home, and give them different recommendations to. Doesn't proof your home from wildfire, but it does make it substantially better. So we do currently do that, and part of the recommendations there is to look at different local ordinances that we might be able to do in the future to help developers guide them through this process, to give them the tools they need to develop a more fire-safe community. So that'll be good.
Just a quick follow-up to that. So you are involved in this dialogue under the special permit process, but I was thinking about generally people coming into town hall, going into inspectional services, pulling permits, and seeing a friendly pamphlet there about, have you thought of this? So this is beyond the special permit process that I was thinking about, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Any additional questions, comments from the board? Okay. Chief Foley, thank you so much. And Ms. Porter, thank you as well. This is a fascinating project and study. And if this board is very supportive and wants to collaborate and work with you in any way that we can to get the word out, so you are welcome back here anytime.
Thank you. We'll leave some pamphlets over here with some information that folks can take that are attending today's meeting, and then we'll bring whatever's left over to the library over on South Street.
Thank you.
Yep.
You were clapping. Okay. Our last item on our agenda proper is a request for Purple Heart street sign and painted crosswalk, and we have some representatives from our Plymouth 250th Commemoration Committee. Patrick Brown and Kathy Babini are both here. Welcome. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening. We appreciate the opportunity to present this proposal. My name is Patrick Brown. I'm the chairman of the 250th Commemoration Committee, and I'm going to very quickly and briefly just introduce this proposal and the project, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kathy Babini, who is a member of the committee and also former social studies coordinator for the town of Plymouth, and she has really spearheaded this project and done quite a bit of work on it. So she's going to give you the details and particulars on the signs. But as you know, the 250th committee was appointed back in the spring, and since then we have undertaken some modest but I think meaningful programs. You all participated, thank you very much, in the June 27 town commemoration that we had in Town Square, which was very well attended. We have also published this pamphlet, which is Plymouth Liberty Trail, guiding people to various historic sites in town that pertain to the Revolution. All of this, of course, with an eye towards commemorating and celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the birth of the United States. So our next project on the docket is this Purple Heart Day ceremony, which we have scheduled for August 7, which is National Purple Heart Day. We believe it's appropriate for the committee to be involved in this because the Purple Heart was in fact established, although under another name, but it was established during the Revolutionary War. So we are trying to honor that and honor Purple Heart recipients. And August 7 at 10 a.m., I believe, outside Memorial Hall, we will have a ceremony and an unveiling of a new sign. So what we're proposing and what we're asking, and this is all being done, I should mention, in coordination with the local Veterans of Foreign Wars Post and the American Legion Post. This is a collaborative project between all these organizations. VFW actually approached us asking to have the crosswalk out in front of Memorial Hall painted red, white, and blue. Which our committee thought was a wonderful idea, and so we are proposing to paint 2 crosswalks in town in front of prominent memorials, one Memorial Hall and one the training green where the Civil War monument is located, sort of bookends on other end of downtown. So the crosswalks is one aspect of this proposal. The other aspect of this proposal is placing 3 new Purple Heart signs, and for that I'm going to turn to Dr. Babini to tell you about those.
Thank you. And as we know, teachers don't retire, they join committees, and we take every teachable moment we can find. So this was just a perfect opportunity to not only recognize the Purple Heart Day, but recognize Plymouth as a Purple Heart community. Back in 2017, the town signed a proclamation from the Military Order of the Purple Heart, and we became a Purple Heart town Signs were put up in 2020. 2 signs. One is down on the waterfront, right towards the end of North Street, and the other is in North Plymouth on the corner of Bourne Road, right in front of Rose and Vicky's. They were the small signs. They didn't have our town name on them. So we decided that this was an opportunity where we can rededicate the signs, put them in a prominent place, and let people know that Plymouth does support our Purple Heart recipients as well as our Gold Star families. So the purpose of this is we have signs made. We have 4 signs made. Our initial sign, the post would be in front of Memorial Hall, and then we were going to move to other areas, the veterans organizations and Manomet, and hopefully to keep finding other prominent locations to put it. Typically, they're put on the entrances to towns, and I've been noticing them a lot more lately, but people drive in and out. You're driving in your car, you go by this sign. If it's downtown, if it's in front of the Veterans Park, people are going to stop and think and know that this is something that's important. This was such an opportunity where it is the connection to the revolution, where we have people who fought our freedom 250 years ago, and here today we're still honoring people who continue to fight and are wounded, part of it. As Patrick said, we're very happy to work with the veterans on our organization because we wanted to do it right. We wanted to make sure we were honoring them in a manner they have. So we have the sign that will go up. We have a Purple Heart flag that we present to the Memorial Hall, and working with the veterans, they've gotten very involved in adding to that program. That will be our initial program on August 7th, and we have the proclamation. I don't know if you had a copy of that. I do have some I will leave with you so that you can see what it's all about. But again, we're just trying to use something that's memorial, that's a legacy that remains from this committee as a thank you to the town. And while I'm here, the other project that we did that just happened to be finished is school was getting out, and it was really hard to try and do something major. But reaching back into a bag of tricks, I worked with Kate Fitzgerald, who is a social studies coordinator now, and we put it out as a voluntary thing towards the end of school for grades 3 and 5 to design bookmarks for Happy Birthday for the United States. So we had 170 designs come in. We chose 5. And the Powderhorn Press graciously printed them, donated their printing for those, and they are now at the town library. So that as kids come in for summer reading or adults come in, they have their bookmarks, and I will leave some with you today. I just have one copy of what the sign looks like. I don't know if you already got packets, but I can leave that with you along with the proclamation, so you can have that. If there's any questions?
Wonderful, thank you. Let me bring it back to the board. Thank you very much. Mr. Canty.
Thank you. So I recognize the importance and the significance of both the Purple Heart and its historic predecessor. And I think it's worthwhile to commemorate recipients of the Purple Heart, as well as our commitment to recognizing the sacrifice of ways, whether that involves injury, death, or just the loss of time with loved ones. But I guess I was, to be honest, a little confused why this was coming from the Plymouth 250th Committee, since the Purple Heart itself was created in 1917, and its historic predecessor was created in 17, which was the Badge of Military Merit, was issued between 1782 and 1783, which is obviously a different year than 250 years ago. I understand the Revolutionary War was not a one-and-done type of affair, but although I am supportive of the signage and the event and the crosswalks in this instance, I do want to try and avoid mission creep of the 250th committee, so I'm just cautious of that. So I don't want to change anything. I just want to highlight that stood out to me, and if you have anything you'd like to respond on it, you may, but I wanted to make the comment.
No, I appreciate that. And, we did feel that there was a direct connection between honoring the revolution and, the merit award that you mentioned. that George Washington established was in the shape of a Purple Heart. So there is a direct lineage. It does connect direct back. I certainly appreciate your comment, though, about mission creep. I can simply say that this committee, we are winding down at this point. We feel we've achieved some meaningful commemorations, and this is probably the last. We would like to do something to honor the Parting Ways site, but aside from that, this committee is done, and our term ends at the end of this calendar year. So we don't have much time to get into any further projects, Lee.
Okay, thank you.
First, and then Mr. Golden.
Thank you very much. I serve with you on this committee, and I do see the direct connection to the original Purple Heart. And not only was this ribbon of purple issued by General Washington, his profile is seen on the medal. So there's a direct connection to this historical event in the 1780s of the Continental Forces. So yes, General MacArthur brought it back years later, and we know what it is today. But we did see this connection, and we did see these signs in a condition that we thought that might be a better way of presenting it. And we reached out to the veterans and working with that community to present that sign at the entrance of our memorial buildings and parks is a better way than had been done before. So I do commend you on this effort in connecting this historical event to the time in which we live in as we celebrate 250th anniversary of our country. So I do appreciate that. It's Friday morning at 10 a.m. So it's obviously August 7th, which is National Purple Heart Day across the country. So I know it's a tricky time in the summer for people to attend, but I do appreciate your efforts to bring attention to this and working with the community and working with the town to get the word out. So thank you very much.
Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you folks for being here tonight. I shared Mr. Canty's concern about the mission creep. However, I did look it up. Some of the earliest recipients of the Badge of Merit were veterans of the Revolutionary War. So I do think it's within your purview, and I think it's a worthwhile cause that I'm happy to support. It's relatively short money for the town to be able to do this. I have a quote in front of me for $170, so I don't think it's going to break the bank. So thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you both very much. I really appreciate what you're doing here, and I am very supportive of this effort. I did have one question, though. So I know that the signs say Purple Heart Town, so designating Plymouth as a Purple Heart Town. Is that a national designation or a state designation, or what is the significance of that?
The town needed to apply to become a Purple Heart Town and write a proclamation. I have a copy. I will leave with you. It was signed by the selectmen in 2017. It's a kind of a whereas thing, and then that gives you the ability to refer to yourself as this Purple Heart Town. Some towns, I believe, like Duxbury, is a Purple Heart Trail, where they have it during different places. But it all comes out of a charter organization on the Purple Heart, the Military Order of the Purple Heart. And towns need to apply, and then you're able to, in fact, whereas the sign we're using is the one that is used in Bridgewater and at least 10 other towns that I had used, found. So it does show us as a Purple Heart Town. It has the name on it. It's a little bit more prominent, so as people are coming into Memorial Hall, as people are walking by, or just driving by the street, they're going to be able to see and know that Plymouth has stepped up and has done that and is honoring our veterans.
Okay, thank you for that. Very impressive. Mr. Quintal, did you have a question?
I just have a comment, if I may. Thank you both and the whole committee for all the things you've accomplished and been accomplishing. And you've got funding in place for these? Are you fundraising or anything? Or?
Thank you. I did want to mention that the Visitor Services Board has pledged to support the projects of the 250th Committee. And this is an inexpensive project, as you mentioned, Mr. Golden. This is not a large project, but we are very grateful for the support of the Visitor Services Board for supporting these.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, one more thing. I would encourage, I understand you folks are looking to ramp down because we're beyond the actual celebration of Independence Day. I would encourage you to keep the committee intact at least through Thanksgiving. It's a pretty big day here in town. I think there's certainly something that we could do to highlight the 250th in America's hometown during our biggest celebration.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Canty?
Yeah.
Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
And myself, yes. The motion carries. Thank you again very much. Okay, we'll move on now to the town manager's report. Mr. Brindisi.
Great, thank you. So I have a few updates, some updates on events and some project completion updates. So first I want to start, again, we talked a lot about the Full Sail the last 2 years. The footings are now in place right now. If you were to go by the Full Sail on Taylor Ave, you'll see that there have been 5 posts that are now cemented in. This will make way for the sails to be measured and cut to provide shade covering for the area at the Full Sail. We'll be adding benches and tables as well. So hopefully that project will be completed in the next couple of weeks. And then moving on to Jenny Pond, if you've been up in that area, you'll see that we finally have one of the sidewalks open. That's been a challenge for folks trying to walk in that area by not having to traverse the streets. But now we do have one sidewalk open, and depending on the weather this week, we hope to get the second sidewalk open as well. We were starting to, unfortunately, near the end of summer, which means that our recreation staff will be starting to close down. And so the first closure I will announce is that on August 16th, the Hedges Pond Recreation Area and Fresh Pond area will no longer have staffing after August 16th. And then you'll start to see a trickle of our other beaches and ponds lose staffing up until Labor Day. And then because of reduced staffing, I just want folks to be aware that the Cal Cafe, which is normally closed on Monday, is now closed on Wednesdays as well, again, due to reduced staffing. As far as this building, the cupola, you may have noticed, has now been repainted. They're finishing up this work this week, but I know this has been something we've talked a lot about the last couple years, given the fact that the cupola, only being painted 8 years ago, was already starting to crack and peel. So that has now a fresh coat of paint. And then the pier extension project, another project that had gone to town meeting on 2 different occasions and was finally funded. The pier extension project is, I would say, 90% complete, is now in a form that can be used. We still have a few punch list items that have to be complete, but if you go down to the pier, you'll see the pilings have been placed. We have a very large concrete float that's attached to the pier extension. That pier extension certainly will provide for a safer tie-up for the cruise line industry for the 35, 40 days they're here. But more importantly, it will provide 300 plus days of additional tie-up space for our fishermen and other commercial vessels. Memorial Hall, we will start the repointing of Memorial Hall in the next couple of weeks on the north side and the east side of the building. So more to come on that. I have a few updates I'd like to talk about as far as what came out of last week's meeting with the folks in the North Plymouth area. So we already scheduled an Eversource meeting prior to last week's on the road. However, I just wanted the board to be aware that after our Eversource meeting, the DPW got one-on-one with Eversource, and they have a commitment that they'll be meeting at least monthly to share their capital improvement projects and coordinate those capital improvement improvement projects. As the DPW opens the road for resurfacing, we'll be working with Eversource on replacing gas mains as well. In addition to that, the DPW director will be working with the engineering staff to determine whether or not they can begin some of the widening at the Cherry Street intersection. I know we had said last week that we had to wait a year, and we really should wait a year, but working with Eversource, we're going to see if they can start on one side of Cherry Street, which would allow us to work on the other side of Cherry Street. We wouldn't have any top coat on the Cherry Street intersection, but we certainly could bind it down. So more on that. We do know we have to widen the road over there for some turning lanes. So we'll keep the board and the community up to date as far as trying to start that intersection sooner rather than later. In addition to that, the DPW director is working with the engineering staff to apply 30-mile-per-hour thickly settled signs in the North Plymouth area as you work your way into town, and then over down at JB's Corner as you work your way into town. So that's going to take probably at least 3 to 4 weeks to get that accomplished. And once those signs are in, we'll be working with the police department on some type of traffic enforcement. And then moving on to a meeting that took place at the same time as the On the Road, our Commissioner of Buildings, Jason Silva, held a meeting with the neighbors in the Taylor Ave, Manamet area. They had many concerns regarding the Pasture Hill Estate project. Some of the issues that were raised at that community meeting, and I would say it was probably over 60 individuals in the room, issues of dust, traffic, and water runoff. We are in the process of preparing a response to send that to those folks that are in attendance. But more importantly, there was a follow-up meeting with the developer around some of these issues, and they have assured us that they'll put measures in place to mitigate dust, traffic, and any water runoff. So we'll be putting out a public statement, working with our communications person in the next few days. And then I wanted to let the board know that the Symes House property has been closed and property has been sold to Manamet Inc. So they are the official owners of that property, and so we'll be working with them on a transition plan. And then I want to make 3 more quick announcements. We have 2 individuals who are retiring this week. Both served 30-plus years. The first one is Michelle Turner. Her last position with the town was as the town's procurement assistant, and she will be retiring on July 31st. So congratulations to Michelle and everything that she's done for this community. And then Adam Simmons, who works over in the Parks division as a repair mechanic. He has worked for the town for 37 years and 7 months, and so best wishes to Adam as well in his retirement year. So thank you to both Adam and Michelle for everything they've done working for the town for well over 3 decades. And the last item I will report that we've mentioned this a couple times, that the delegation from Shishigahama, our sister city, will be here this week. They will be arriving here in town tomorrow evening. And then that'll kick off a series of events working with the school department and working with a number of other community partners. Some of the folks from the delegation that will be in attendance from Shishigahama is their school superintendent, and they have a council form of government, and their vice chair will be here as well. And they will be bringing with them 13 students who will be living with 13 different families to get their experience in Plymouth. So lots going to happen. We'll kick that off on Thursday at 10 a.m. here in Town Hall with a welcoming ceremony, and then we'll end their trip in Plymouth on Monday evening over at East Bay. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Brindisi. Any questions for the town manager? Mr. Quintal?
Yeah, Derek, when you were touching on Eversource, Hedge School, there's some wires hanging. They were approximately 8 feet off the ground. I don't know if they come off the building, and even if they're not live, and I hope and believe they're not, they need to be disconnected and rolled up. I mean, someone's going to get hurt. Some kid's going to, so now they're touching the ground completely, and there's like 3 or 4 of them all wrapped together. I don't know. I'm not saying it's Eversource, or Eversource is going to say it's, well, used to be 9X, and then 9X going to blame it on the cable company, but whoever is in charge, the stuff you see nowadays is wires hanging everywhere. I don't know what's going on, but...
Is that in the playground area?
Yeah, it's from Cherry Street into like where the offices used to be.
Okay, I'm emailing the school.
Yeah, yeah. And there's like 3 or 4, it's a whole bundle of them that, probably came off the building, off the pole. But anyway, they have it taped off with caution tape, but somebody needs to enforce it, whether it's the building inspector or the fire chief. Somebody needs to put the pressure on these guys to get the wires out of there.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Okay, moving to select board discussion. Any new business? Old business? Oh, 2 hands went up at once. Mr. Cohan.
Yes, I'd like to, a couple weeks back, the Select Board had on its agenda Shallow Pond, and during that meeting, it was a constructive meeting. We worked towards a direction in a discussion. I did see a series of emails at the end of that meeting. It was indicated that some of the representatives of Shallow Pond should meet up with staff to talk about the issues that they have and the concerns that they have, and to see if there was any additional information that they could provide us on our meeting on August 4th. I think we're scheduled to hear Shallow Pond further discussion, and we were hoping that they would be able to have a discussion between staff in the neighborhood. I did see the emails. It looked as if we were zeroing in on Tuesday, today, and then there was an indication, I believe, from the town manager's office where that meeting was not going to happen. I'd like to see it happen, and I don't know in the next steps what we can do, because we do have this meeting. It's on the agenda in the near future on August 4th, and I do think that staff should have an opportunity to meet with the Shallow Pond neighborhood as we had discussed at our last meeting. So I would like to know what the next steps are to have that meeting take place.
Well, I can say that we have had those discussions about whether it made sense, or whether we would be able to meet prior to the August 4th meeting. I think at our last select board meeting, we had agreed that we would reconvene on August 4th with financial information that we needed in order to put together that article. It's going to take the staff up until August 4th to get that information together, because they're pulling it from additional resources. Mr. Coyle has offered to have a brief phone call with the folks from Shallow Pond, but there's really no information. There's no new information that we have to share. Mr. Brindisi, do you have anything to add to that?
Madam Chair, no, you're absolutely correct. There's no new information at this point. We are working with KP Law. There is not clear title on the properties there. We do know that. And so in order to move this process forward, we would have to do title searches on all the properties. And so we're working with KP Law on what the costs would be associated with doing those title searches. So there's no new information that we have to discuss at this time.
Well, I mean, we have residents. We had a meeting. There was questions that came up. There was concerns that came up. I don't see the harm in why we can't sit down with representatives of the neighborhood and staff to see what differences may exist, so that when we go to the 4th, that discussion will be elevated to a condition where people are in agreement, or at least an understanding. I don't see the harm in sitting down between staff and the neighborhood to see what the differences might be, to seek some clarification. You can only get better results by opening up a dialogue.
Mr. Cohan, I totally appreciate where you're coming from with this, but it doesn't make sense for us to sit down if we don't have the information that we need. However, I will add that this is a very sympathetic board. We all want to make this work in the best, we're looking out for the best interests of the community as well as the town. So I would rather that we stay focused on solutions, and when we meet on August 4th, we will have all the information we need to have a really robust discussion at that point. And then after we have all the information that our staff has been able to gather, combined with the information that the Shallow Pond folks said that they have, then we can sit down and have a productive conversation with all of the information available to us. So I think that we're going to just move on from there. But Mr. Canty, you had a question or comment?
Yeah, I had a comment. I mean, the comments from the town manager covered the issue. Is it from the perspective of the town, which is there's not clear title on the properties? It's been referred to a law firm that can do the work. That law firm has other work that they're doing, both for us and for other municipalities. The town staff, it was suggested in public comment earlier that essentially town staff time is free, and I don't know, the implication was that they're available at all times. I would say that our DPW staff and our legal department staff is historically understaffed and overworked in both areas, and that there's a lot of other things on their plate. I'm aware that these residents are eager to see a resolution, but the time frame that they have established for themselves is not a time frame that this town is able to responsibly accommodate. The town is going through a process to identify the issue and try and be able to move it forward in a way that works not just in this instance, but in all the instances going forward. Allowing that process to move forward responsibly while balancing all of the other work that all of our staff and this outside law firm that we have to bring in because of the expertise required is a delicate balancing act, and putting pressure on it is not productive, whether it comes from public comment or whether it comes from members of this board who haven't reached out to staff about the obligations that they have. I would ask that the process be allowed to play out instead of the posturing that has happened in relation to this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Canty. Mr. Golden, you had another question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have a different old business. So I had mentioned probably about a month ago that I was working with the DPW and the Finance Department on a potential article for the fall town meeting to establish a traffic mitigation stabilization fund, specifically to initially address the Cedarville traffic mitigation needed at the intersections of Hedges Pond and Herring Pond and 3A. I'd like to just earmark some time at our August 11th meeting to be able to present a memo to my fellow board members on the matter.
Okay, thank you. We can add that to the... Mr. Cohen, if there's any new information that you have to add to this discussion, I'll hear it.
The new information is...
Otherwise, we're going to move on.
Well, the new information is no one is posturing. No one is posturing. Residents have asked for a meeting with staff. I don't see how this is posturing, asking staff to meet with a neighborhood in preparing for a meeting that's upcoming. So been elected to represent the interests of the residents, and when residents come to us with these concerns, I just want to try to see what I can do and intercede between themselves, their neighborhood, and town staff to have an open dialogue, to have a constructive conversation, that when we go to make a decision, it's based on everyone having an open line of communication. This is not posturing. It is the simple act of trying to help residents interact with their government more efficiently.
Mr. Canty.
Well, respectfully, I'd have some disagreement with that. I think that part of being elected to this job is having meetings with town staff and officials outside of Tuesday night to talk about issues and be prepared to vote on them and discuss them intelligently at meetings. And I think that that would be an important component before bringing something up at a Tuesday night, as is often the practice by certain members. I think that we would get a lot more done in people's day-to-day obligations, and we'd have a lot smoother meetings if that were to happen with more regularity. I'd like to use this as an opportunity to see that being the norm moving forward for all 5 board members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
New information to that effect. The only reason I'm saying this now is because at our last, 2 weeks ago, the select board instructed the neighbors to meet with staff. Staff in the neighborhood were talking amongst themselves. I saw the emails, Deb saw the emails, where they were setting on a date to meet, and then it was decided there wouldn't be a meeting. I then asked why, and I was met with silence. I did not hear from anyone on my question why we were now not meeting. So it's not something that wasn't discussed prior to this meeting. It was discussed. There were emails that were sent. I asked questions, and I didn't hear a response.
Okay, we'll be meeting on August 4th. I'm looking forward to the discussion. I'm also looking forward to meetings, follow-up meetings coming out of that August 4th meeting so that we can bring this to closure. I am going to wrap things up now unless anyone has any other new business, old business to discuss. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote. Mr. Quintal?
Yes.
Mr. Canty?
Yes.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.